What's good, fam? J. Cole is finding out that while you can delete a diss track in 24 hours, you cannot just delete a $500,000 lawsuit from a Harlem legend who is tired of waiting on his receipts. The bubble finally burst for the golden boy of Dreamville in October of 2025, and this time the blow did not come from a Kendrick Lamar verse. Camron officially put his signature on the legal paperwork by filing a civil complaint that asked for at least $500,000 in damages. This whole situation started with a track called Ready 24 that dropped on the Might Delete Later mixtape back in April of 2024. The timing on this is actually wild because that was the exact same project where Cole tried to take shots at Kendrick before he famously apologized on stage. While Cole was out there acting like he was protecting his peace and his humble reputation, he was allegedly moving shady behind the scenes with a veteran who does not play about his money.
So at this point, I'm pretty sure you feel disrespected. On some G shit, I'm pretty sure you feel disrespected.
Camron is claiming that Cole did him dirty on the credits by listing him as a co-writer instead of a performer, even though Cam gave him a full verse for the record. The lawsuit claims this was a total breach of a verbal agreement that had been in place since all the way back in 2021. This was not a random mistake or a clerical error by some intern at the label, because the suit says Cole ignored multiple attempts by Camron to settle the matter privately. We're looking at a ghosting period that lasted from July of 2023 until the mixtape finally dropped in April of 2024. It takes a special kind of boldness to be one of the biggest rappers on earth and think you can just stop answering the phone for Killer Cam.
J. Cole is one of those type of people that doesn't want to say the wrong thing. J. Cole is I want everybody to love me. I don't want anybody to hate me. I want to please everybody type of. And because of that, he ends up pleasing nobody.
That arrogance led to exactly what we are seeing now, which is a massive legal headache right in the middle of a retirement rollout. This entire mess comes down to a broken promise involving a very specific trade agreement. Camron did some work for Cole's project, The Off Season, in 2021, and the deal was simple and straight to the point. In exchange for that veteran Harlem energy, Cole was supposed to provide a return feature or show up for an interview on the hit show It Is What It Is. Since that show is arguably the biggest thing in sports media right now, a J. Cole interview would have been a massive win for Cam and Mace.
Let's watch the rest of Camron's statement when it comes to this situation with him and J. Cole though.
Then I said, you know what, forget the record. Let's do an interview. Bet I got you.
Instead of showing up and being a man of his word, Cole started doing the celebrity shuffle to avoid his obligations. He actually admitted to pushing back the collaboration because he wanted to focus on the production and the rollout of his final album, The Fall Off. It is a terrible look to tell a legend your schedule is too full for them after they already did the work for you years ago. Camron even claimed that Cole used the beef between Kendrick Lamar and Drake as a convenient excuse to turn down all the scheduling requests. It looks like Cole was using the chaos in the rap world as a smokescreen to avoid his actual business responsibilities. The lawsuit highlights the growing tension where Cole's final boss persona started clashing with his reputation as a fair businessman.
I believe that he's one of them niggas that you think he just wear white tees, but that white tee might cost $600.
You cannot claim to be the most relatable and humble guy in the industry while you are actively ducking the phone calls of the people who helped build your foundation. Camron eventually clarified in multiple interviews that this legal action was not just about the money. He said it was a strategic move designed specifically to get Cole's attention after being brushed off and ignored for years. When you are a legend like Cam, you do not care how many platinum records a younger artist has if they are not respecting the street code of keeping their word. It seems like Cole was so focused on crafting his perfect legacy that he forgot that your reputation is also built on how you treat your peers behind the scenes. This lawsuit served as a massive wake-up call that showed the industry that even the most humble seeming artists can get caught up in their own hype.
Sometimes I hit the mark and I say shit and I spit a verse that really might have you believe in that shit. But if you ask me in real life, do I walk around like I'm the best rapper alive?
J. Cole might have thought he was untouchable while he was meditating and riding his bike through the city, but the legal system and a motivated Harlem rapper proved him wrong very quickly. This whole situation shows that you cannot just pick and choose when to be a professional based on whether you are currently in a high-stakes rap battle. Cole wanted to be the peacemaker with Kendrick, but he ended up being the antagonist in a story with a veteran who was ready to take it all the way to a courtroom. The problem with the humble rapper image J. Cole spent a decade building is that it looks like a convenient shield when business gets messy.
Now his stands, their stance. They're always gonna love anything he does because they see him as, what did Screwface say? They see him as Brother Teresa. This humble, humility person that cares about it.
Fans praised him for walking away from the Kendrick-Lamar beef to protect his peace, but he was actually violating code by ghosting a Dipset legend. This false sense of security made him feel untouchable in his business dealings. But you cannot claim to be the most down-to-earth guy while ignoring a veteran. Camron demanded $500,000, but the money was never the real point since Cam is already loaded from his sports media wins. This lawsuit was a strategic move to show that you cannot delete a veteran's time and legacy like a failed diss track on a mixtape.
J. Cole is one of those type of people that doesn't want to say the wrong thing. J. Cole is I want everybody to love me. I don't want anybody to hate me. I want to please everybody type of. And because of that, he ends up pleasing nobody.
This situation exposes a major flaw in how Cole is handling his retirement phase because he got too obsessed with his own legacy projects. He spent so much time trying to make sure the Fall Off was a perfect masterpiece that he forgot his word is supposed to be his bond in this industry. Cole clearly thought his status as a top 3 rapper gave him a pass to ignore his obligations, but Camron showed him that accountability does not have a deadline. This settlement will likely force Cole to be much more accessible during this final era because he cannot afford any more ego tax lawsuits from pushed-aside collaborators. Things finally boiled over on March 23, 2026, when J. Cole stopped hiding behind his lawyers and showed up on the Talk with Flea podcast. The entire industry was watching because it was the first time these two stood in the same room since the legal drama went public. The interview went viral. The second Cole showed his genuine shock that the situation had actually become a legal battle. He looked Cam in the eyes and asked if he really brought in lawyers over a feature dispute, saying the words, "a lawsuit, bro lawyers." That specific moment proved Cole was completely out of touch with the business consequences of his own actions. Cole seemed to think that being fellow rappers meant they could handle everything with a handshake, but Cam was not having any of that.
I think a lot of people, took it away. And it's cool. Me, I didn't take it away because I know J. Cole is like one of the humblest guys you can meet in hip hop. Never bought a chain, never bought a watch, multi-millionaire, he could ride bikes, nobody wants to kill him.
Cam stood his ground with that classic Harlem energy and explained that being a man means keeping your word regardless of an album schedule. He made it clear he did not care if Cole was working on a masterpiece or caught up in the Drake and Kendrick drama. Camron made a major chess move back in January of 2026 when he dropped Universal Music Group from the lawsuit to focus entirely on Cole. This forced the North Carolina rapper to realize this was not just some corporate dispute that label executives would settle in a private office. Taking the label out of the equation meant Cole had to deal with the fallout personally, and that is exactly why he ended up on that couch. Their meeting became the catalyst for the settlement because it proved that face-to-face accountability always beats legal posturing. It was a reality check that Cole needed, showing him that you cannot just apologize your way out of a broken contract. The visual of Cole sitting there looking confused while Cam broke down the rules was a moment of hip-hop history where power shifted back to the veterans. It was obvious from their talk that Cole had underestimated how much his silence had offended Cam over the last few years. The podcast episode did not just address the money, it addressed the lack of respect that comes with ignoring a peer while acting like a moral compass.
I think a lot of people, took it away. And it's cool. Me, I didn't take it away because I know J. Cole is like one of the humblest guys you can meet in hip hop. Never bought a chain, never bought a watch, multi-millionaire, he could ride bikes, nobody wants to kill him.
This confrontation was the only way to bridge the gap because Cole's camp was ignoring the legal letters until things got personal. It forced a level of transparency that we rarely see in high-level industry disputes and set the stage for massive revelations during the final negotiations. Before we move on and see how Cole finally had to wave that white flag and pay up, tell me if you think Cam was being petty or if Cole deserved that public dragging for ignoring the business while acting like a moral compass. Tell me in the comments, no cap. While you at it, like and subscribe, let's continue. The official white flag went up on May 27, 2026, when the industry finally got word that J. Cole and Camron settled every single part of their legal battle. It took a long time and a whole lot of public embarrassment for Cole to get his business right, but the terms show the Harlem legend walked away with exactly what he wanted.
I think a lot of people, took it away. And it's cool. Me, I didn't take it away because I know J. Cole is like one of the humblest guys you can meet in hip hop. Never bought a chain, never bought a watch, multi-millionaire, he could ride bikes, nobody wants to kill him.
The Dreamville rapper is now forced to fulfill all those media obligations he spent years ducking, and he finally had to pay up on the royalty disputes from that track, Ready 24. The most legendary part of this whole situation actually has nothing to do with the money because Cole dropped a massive bombshell that changes how we see his entire career. During the settlement talks, Cole admitted that Kendrick Lamar was originally locked in for 2 different tracks on his final album called The Fall Off. This revelation is wild because it explains why Cole was in a total scheduling spiral and ghosting people like Camron while the world watched his peers go to war. He was trying to manage a Kendrick collaboration while the beef with Drake was escalating into a full-scale conflict that eventually destroyed those plans.
But sometimes I hit the mark and I say shit and I spit a verse that really might have you believe in that shit. But if you ask me in real life, do I walk around like I'm the best rapper alive?
That constant back and forth basically left Cole's vision for his retirement album in pieces after those Kendrick features were officially scrapped. This new information makes that famous Dreamville Fest apology look completely different, since it proves he was likely trying to save those collaborations until the very last second. The pressure left him stuck between his loyalty to the music and the reality that his two biggest rivals were trying to end each other. He could not even handle a simple phone call from a veteran like Cam while his timeline was falling apart under the weight of that Drake conflict. It is some nasty work to think we almost had multiple Kendrick and Cole records before the Drake beef reached the point of no return and ruined the opportunity. While that explains why he was so distracted, it still does not excuse the disrespectful way he handled his business with the Dipset boss.
So at this point, I'm pretty sure you feel disrespected. On some G shit, I'm pretty sure you feel disrespected.
The two of them have publicly moved on now, and this settlement officially clears the biggest legal hurdle standing in the way of his final album rollout. It is a win for the culture to see them get past the drama, but the lesson here is that even the biggest stars have to follow the rules of respect. A $500,000 ego tax was the final price he paid just to learn that his legacy is only as good as his word. This whole mess exposes the massive gap between the humble bike riding persona Cole shows the fans and how he was actually moving behind the scenes. You can wear plain t-shirts and act down to earth all you want, but people will see through the act if you are out here ghosting legends and breaking verbal agreements. Camron was the only person bold enough to put those receipts in a court filing and force Cole to deal with the truth. It is a tough pill for the fans who thought Cole was the one guy in the industry who stayed true to the old school ways of doing business. He got caught up in the hype of his own final chapter and let his priorities get twisted while trying to manage the biggest beef in rap history.
I believe that he's one of them niggas that you think he just wear white tees, but that white tee might cost $600.
Expect him to be way more careful about his schedule and his relationships now that he knows the entire industry is watching his every move. The fall off is still on the way, but the road to get there has been much more expensive than he ever imagined when he started planning his exit. He survived the Kendrick beef by walking away from the battle, but he could not walk away from the legal receipts Cameron had on him. Before we move on and see how J. Cole handles the rest of this rollout without any more legal drama, tell me what y'all think about this Kendrick bombshell. Tell me if you think Cole was right to ghost Camron while he was trying to save those Kendrick features, or if that is just a weak excuse for bad business. Tell me in the comments, no cap, and while you are at it, make sure to like and subscribe to stay updated on all the drama. Let's continue.